That's the
Check,
sound
check,
of a sliding chair.
check, check.
All right, check, 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 check.
I don't hear anything on YouTube, so
You don't hear anything? Well, there's probably a bit of a lag. Um, we're just getting things keyed up here tonight, folks. Hang tight.
it's about 20 seconds off.
20 seconds off. All right. So, yes, here we are back, attempting to do a show tonight. And me and my co pilot are both unwell, but we're going to give this a shot, see how far we get tonight. And yeah, we'll explain how things are going to work here shortly. It's official time, 6:54.
6:56.
3 minutes. 3 minute countdown, according to my Vimeo clock. I haven't, hey Cynthia,
Yes, dear.
I haven't done any live streaming in about 4 months.
Wow, good luck with that.
Just give me a sound check in your mic.
Sound check, check, check.
I gotta crank you way up. There you go, you're cranked.
Consider
Cranked.
myself cranked.
Cranked up, all jacked.
Cranked up, jacked up. Not jacked up on coffee.
No,
Could use a coffee for sure.
jacked up on tea. Jacked up on COVID tonight.
Yeah.
Right, let's turn this down. All right. Welcome to Espresso Shots Live. My name is John. I'll throw myself on the screen here so you can see what's going on down in the studio. I have my Hall's lozenges with me tonight to try to get through tonight's show. We're going to have to cut the show a little bit short tonight, but we're going to leave the live stream run, and we encourage as many comments as possible down below in the YouTube description. I'm just going to adjust my color a bit. I don't have any lighting on down here. Got fluorescence. I got fluorescence on here tonight. Wow, pretty bright.
That's just actually how you look.
Can you hit that light switch on there and then shut the fluorescence off for me? No, the black box, the black box. No, the black box. There's a power button on the back. And just turn that down a bit, and then just kill those fluorescents for me. Really dark, really bright. Back there. Sorry, folks. We'll get there. Oh, wow. Now it's really dark.
What would you like?
Oh, I guess we better flick it back on. As you can see, we're just kind of running by the seat of our pants here tonight. Pull this brightness right down here. Well, when you're live streaming, you're doing it all. You're doing the audio, you're doing the video, you're doing the live stream, you're doing the color correction, you're doing the topics, you're doing the research, you're doing it all. It's kind of like running a restaurant. You got to do it all. Maybe that's why I like live streaming when it's going well anyway. I can hear you.
That's off of you, not me.
All right. Turn that down. Okay, let's get things rolling. This is as good as it's going to get tonight. We're going to play our intro for you folks. We're talking tonight about a multitude of things, and I had a guest scheduled, but I canceled him last minute around 3 o'clock this afternoon. I was a bit feverish, and I didn't even think I was going to be able to make it through tonight's live stream show. So I canceled him. Michael Lee, he was with environmental planner and biologist for Rideau Valley Conservation Authority, was really looking to chatting with him about sustainable drainage and the Yellow Fish project that they're working on, if you know anything about it. So we will get him on the show another time, maybe in the next week or two. Like I said, we're just battling the back end of COVID, so it's been a challenge for us to get things done. So without further ado, I'm going to play tonight's intro, and then we'll get into some conversation about what your thoughts are on this topic of, I guess really we should tee it up a bit better than that. The conversation is really about the lot sizes in the village and the water and the drainability and all those things. So having said that, I'll play the intro. That should explain it all, and then we'll come back to it. Let's have a conversation about where Westport is heading, where it's coming from, who's in the driver's seat, and what's in the tank. Tonight's episode, in no way, shape, or form, is meant to be an opinion piece, but rather a facilitated conversation about where you think we should be when it comes to lot sizes in the village of Westport, Ontario. For this conversation, it makes sense to split Westport off into two separate areas. We'll call it Old Westport and Westport 2.0, the new subdivision. The current lot size in our town zoning bylaw allows for 35% lot coverage, but the builder has exceeded that percentage on 3 lots and possibly more for the Harvest Creek development. On July 22nd, 2022, 3 lots were approved by the Committee of Adjustment without question by Council for a minor variance in the Harvest Creek development, along with a widening of driveways from 6 meters to 6.4 meters. I'm not sure of the cost of these variances or who pays for them. Nonetheless, they don't seem to be the best use of time or very effective in looking at future developments or expansions in the village of Westport. So the first question has to be, why are we even here? We know that Rideau Lakes Council and the county approved the subdivision plan, and we know that it's up to Westport staff to verify that the work conforms to the plan, but surprisingly, nobody seemed to notice how tight the houses were compared against the official plan for Harvest Creek until it was too late. To correct this problem, the developer asked the council initially to increase lot coverage to 60%, the shoot for the moon approach. But the team has now reduced their request to only 45%, or a 15% increase. Council, under Mayor Robin Jones' leadership, in an effort to be fair, decided to apply the 45% rule to all of Westport, both Old Westport and New Westport 2.0. This paintbrush approach seemed to be an easy fix, but the residents of Westport felt differently. A public meeting was planned, but upon further evidence and public opinion, the meeting was canceled and the bylaw amendment was abandoned. Old Westport certainly has many homes that are not currently conforming to the 35% lot size. And Old Westport certainly does not have the newest technology with regards to groundwater recovery. I've spoken to many people and there seem to be different concerns. There's a small group of folks that simply just don't want change. For myself, I'm concerned with the excess water runoff, that it doesn't find its way into the artisan spring that lies below Spring Street and introduces new water into existing basements that exist on Spring Street, and eventually find themselves into that spring that feed into the Rideau at the harbor. I'm certainly no scientist, but this spring and summer, I saw the most water in my yard and basement that I've seen since we've moved here almost a decade ago. So will the ponds that were built to contain runoff water actually work? The builder's team has openly said that the ponds are not full, even after some very heavy rains this spring and summer. So, is the current pond functioning? And is it capturing runoff water? And will the new pond work? And will it capture runoff water? So as a homeowner on Spring Street, I have to be concerned with what happens if this happens. Who's going to be on the hook for the repairs, the damages in the event that flooding occurs? And I'm most certain that we're going to see more flooding than we have in the past. I've also recently been informed that lot coverage does not include items such as driveways or walkways. Those impervious surfaces are separate. And remember that driveways have been extended in the new subdivision from 6 meters to 6.4 meters on July 22nd. A reasonable solution might be to refer to the official plan for guidance. But unfortunately, the official plan hasn't been updated since 2008. Is this intentional? I don't know. But what I do know is if bylaws are constructed, they need to be enforced. Without an official village plan to guide council, our current council are forced to make decisions by persuasion. Who is in the driver's seat? I believe that we are. The Beatles said in their song Revolution, we'd all love to see the plans. And I think it's time for some planning for sure. And that's why I'm reaching out tonight to you folks to hear what you have to say. It's a lot to consider, no pun intended. What are the solutions? What is the path forward? Is it rain barrels? Is it additional tree canopy? Is it fixing the aging stormwater recovery system that Westport has? Do we allow bylaws to be created so builders can re-landscape Westport and have possibly negative impacts on Westport and the Rideau? I'd like to hear your thoughts tonight. So without further ado, let's get into it. This is Espresso Shots Live. There you have it. That's what I know. That's all I know. So I'm going to leave this video up. So I'm hoping that comments will kind of filter into this YouTube video. And when we come back to address this issue in more detail with some guests, we'll have some content or some comments that we can refer back to. The first thing I wanted to mention was I'm sure everybody saw this article on Instagram in the last couple days. A couple out of Richmond Hill built this house, and it was obviously really big for the surrounding area, and a lot of neighbors were upset. Yet, the owner of this property was totally in his rights to build this. He built it 10.97 meters, and the maximum was 11, so very tight there. And then he built it width wide, sorry, 39.7, and the max was 40. So he was well within his rights to build it the size that he had, but yet a lot of negative feedback all over social media. I feel bad for the guy. He did the right thing. Now he's having people throwing stones at his house. He's got some broken windows, things like that. So it's the real issue here that not only Westport or this area is having building issues. Is it just some of these plans are just that dated that they need to be revised and looked at before things start to expand and grow? And it makes sense to kind of grow up and rather than grow wide, makes sense, but it just doesn't look very well in this particular case. So you have that situation there. And then we have kind of what's happening here in Westport, and not only in Westport, but in many smaller communities where things are kind of changing, and people are moving from the bigger cities to smaller areas. And they're expecting larger homes because they're used to larger homes. And so there's some certain expectations there. So anyway, your thoughts are all appreciated. Leave them in the comments below. I will get back to them over the next week or two, and I will get Michael Lee on the show to talk a bit about sustainable drainage, because the other issue here is we know that there's groundwater and it's getting into the Rideau. So whether it's a concern of how it's getting there, how much is getting there, and what's in the water that's getting there, and what's the end result. So there's a neat project that they're working on, and I'm sure you've seen it. It's called the Yellow Fish, and I believe it's out of Portland, where they're trying to identify the drain issues, the water issues, and how do they get that water to where it needs to go, and what's in that water is probably the more important issue. Not so much the land coverage, but what's in that water. I saw some comments this afternoon about, it's salt, a lot of salt being dumped on the roads in the winter. That's ending up in that storm drain that's heading into the waterways. And yeah, I agree with that. That's part of the solution. But at the end of the day, Ontario does dump a lot of salt on the roads, and that's a bigger issue than Westport and the Rideau Lakes. At least it is to my knowledge. Again, I'm no expert. I don't know a lot about these topics. That's why I'm reaching out and looking for what you think. What are your thoughts on this? Or is it just a non-issue? I spoke to one counselor last week, and that counselor believes that the 45% increase is totally fine. It should be acceptable. It shouldn't be a problem. And the people that are balking about it shouldn't be. I've spoken to an architect, and he feels the opposite, that 35% is for old Westport is big enough, and it shouldn't be any larger than that. So right now, our council is just in a holding pattern. I don't think the issue is dead. It's just not going anywhere yet, but I feel that it's going to, and I would like to have a conversation about how we're going to get to where we need to be. And that's why I wanted to do this show, and I wanted to kind of get some feedback from people that were out there and what their thoughts are. So, Cynthia, you're sitting over there quietly listening. What are your thoughts on the topic?
The only question I had for you, are you aware of the meeting being rescheduled? Is a rescheduled date to discuss this further at council?
No, they canceled the meeting, and there's no rescheduled date at this point. So they just they squashed the idea of 45%, and it hasn't been rescheduled, to my understanding, from what I've seen. So, If anybody knows anything different than that, let me know. Again, I'm simply a podcaster with a little bit of information, and would like to hear from you guys. I mean, I'm happy to facilitate the conversation and talk about it. Again, it's not an opinion piece, but it's concerning to Westport, and it's concerning to a lot of municipalities, whether it be Portland or Elgin. But right now, I live in Westport, so some of these things do directly affect me. And when it comes to solutions, I'd like to see, like the Beatles say, we'd all love to see the plans. What are in the plans for the area? See, Bob's in the house tonight. He's not saying much. He's keeping pretty quiet. I see Heather Huff is in the house tonight. She says, hello, John. Hello back, Heather. Hello, Frank. I think Frank is working at a photo meeting tonight, so he's not joining us. But that's okay. Like I said, this video will stay up, so by all means, come back to it. Make as many comments as possible in this video so I can come back to it and address some of the issues. I'm going to have myself another Halls. And then if anybody has some good advice out there for what to do for a sore throat, I'm thinking about having a hot toddy after this show. To try to
Popsicles, tea with lemon, tea with honey. There's lots of different things you can do for a cough and a sore throat.
Yeah, nothing seems to really help, though. It just kind of seems to got to work its course.
Apparently.
Like everything, work its course.
2.5 years in, and we've been able to escape it just till now. So, I'm just happy to be vaccinated and boosted, because I wouldn't want to be sick right now without that bit of protection.
Yeah, in our household, it's staggered. So we're all at different levels. Some of us are over it, and some of us are not. I'm in the not category, unfortunately. I'm the last to get it. Well, I should say me and Harrison are the last to get it.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I think I'm going to leave it there tonight. Like I said, my throat is killing me. I don't have much more to say. I think I'll run that video one more time. No, I won't. It's at the beginning of this. I will re-upload that video to YouTube and to Vimeo if you wanted to watch it and share it. But I think that's it. So,
take your time, share it, get people to comment. This is a community conversation. So if you have something to say about lot coverage, have an inside scoop on, what kind of percentages other areas are at, what your suggestions are, please put it in the chat.
Yep. Well, I know Rideau Lakes is 20%.
20.
So yeah. That's 35 is quite high. So.
Well, it wasn't Heather that was watching. It's Frank.
Oh, he's. Want to read that out there?
Yep. Okay. So, the watercolor builder is supposed to be a reputable builder who has built many homes in many municipalities. You figure they would check local bylaws before building.
Yeah, and I think they did, but I think they just over-exaggerated the build size and left them very tight. I know there's 3 of them that have been amended, and I think possibly a few more out of those 25. And I'm not sure what's going to go on with the next part of it. If they're going to have to stick to the 35% and make those lots or houses a bit smaller, however that's going to work, I have no idea. But yeah, builders should be held accountable for what they're building. And if they've built something wrong, I don't feel, and again, this will be my opinion, even though I said it's not an opinion piece, but if a builder has done something wrong, they need to fix it. It's not really the municipality or the council's responsibility to rewrite bylaws based on mistakes made by builders or by anybody. When bylaws exist, They're there for a reason, to be abided by. And when people feel that they can get around that, that doesn't sit well with me at all. It's sour grapes, if you will. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for tuning in. And talk just briefly about something else for a moment. West Porch 2022. Big news. We have t-shirts this year. Trevor, if you're watching, they came in early. So that's super exciting. Over 22 porches registered. It's going to be a big event this year. So the 17th of September, mark it on your calendar, put it in your phone. If you're around, there's going to be lots of great activities. And the landing page on What's on Westport is actually up now. So if you want a little bit of a sneak peek about what's kind of going on, head on over to What's on Westport, and you can take a look at that landing page, and you'll start to see some of the bands and some of the acts that will be performing. So anyway, I'm out of here. Take care. Hey, make sure you check out Rideau Lakes Radio if you like a little bit of rock and roll. And yeah, easy to find too. Just Google Rideau Lakes Radio, hit play, and you can play it on wherever you like.